Hi everyone, today we are going to be having our first taste of what it means to code and write some HTML lines of code. But before we go into that, I would like us to have a brief recap of what we talked about previously. So previously we had looked at the versions of HTML and we had talked about the reason why a new version, which is the latest version HTML5, was necessary for them to create, and we talked about the problems it aimed to solve and how it solved those problems. We talked about the groups that are responsible for creating the versions of HTML that we currently use. We also talked about the basic structure of every HTML document. Then we talked about HTML elements, HTML tags, and opening and closing tags, standalone tags. And then we also looked at this brief example of what a HTML document looks like. So that was basically what we talked about the last time. So today we are going to be doing this exercise here just to solidify our foundational knowledge of HTML. Right, so this is a very simple exercise that has a heading and some paragraphs. So basically, the whole purpose of this exercise is to help us know how to write a HTML document, how to write it in our text editor, and how to view it in the browser, and also to know how the browser interprets and reads HTML documents, what it displays, how it displays it, where it displays it. So that is basically what we are going to be looking at today. Before we go into that, if you can remember from the exercise that we looked at the previous time, we have a HTML document right here. Great. So we see that in our HTML document, the first thing we always write is the doc type HTML declaration, and that tells the browser that this is HTML5, which is the latest version of HTML, then followed by the HTML element, which is the root element of every HTML page. Then we have the head element, which contains metadata about the document. Then we have the body element, which contains the visible page content, which is what will be visible in our web browser when we eventually open it and try and run the code that we've written. Right, so we also explained that everything is made up of elements, and elements are made up of tags. Tags are made up of left angle brackets, tag label, and the right angle brackets. So using this knowledge, we are going to try and do this exercise, which is basically to create this page here. So it's very simple. So without talking too much, let's get right into it. So the first thing we have to do is to open our text editor, which I'd asked everyone to download before today. So we'll be starting with Sublime Text, which is what we'll be using for now. So all you have to do is to just open your Sublime Text. Mine is right here, so just open it. Great. So once your Sublime Text app is opened, you can see it looks very simple. That's why I prefer it as to Visual Studio Code when doing more simple and basic web pages like this. It's easy to follow along, right? There's not too much things that are trying to confuse you, just straight to the point and easy to see. So first of all, the first thing we do is to tell our text editor that what we're writing is HTML, right? So it can format it accordingly. So how do we do that? We do that by going to the right bottom corner, just down here, and you see where the root plain text, so they're using Visual Studio Code, brackets, or plain text, any text editor that usually indicates it's right here. So you click on this plain text here, And you should see a list of all the programming languages you can write with this text editor. And all you have to do is to select HTML. If you don't see it in the list, you can easily search for it. Select it. So for us, it's up here. So all you have to do is select HTML. Once that is done, now we can go ahead creating or writing our HTML document. The first thing we have to write in our HTML document is the HTML5 declaration. And we do that by writing a doc type HTML. So first of all, we have to write a left angle bracket, which you write by clicking on Shift and pressing on comma. Then you write your exclamation mark, which is Shift and 1. Then you type out doc type. Then HTML, followed by a right angle bracket, which is written by Shift and full stop. Press enter. So just by doing that, you have the first part out of the way. So whenever you try and open this document on the browser knows that this is HTML5. This is the current version of HTML that you are trying to run, and therefore it is treated as such. So the next thing we write in our text editor is the root of the HTML document, which is the HTML element. So the left angle bracket, then you write HTML, then you write angle bracket. Now, it is advisable that whenever you open a tag that you know is a double tag, that's tags that are both opening and closing tags, you close it immediately so that you do not forget to close them eventually. So that makes it easier to code, right? Because if you forget to close the tags, then it can lead to a lot of errors and unexpected results, right? So we'll go ahead and close this immediately. Then all you have to do is to come back to the middle, press enter. So all your content now goes in between the opening and the closing tags of the HTML element. So now that we have the root of the page out of the way, the second thing we are writing is the head, which contains the metadata. So go ahead and write the head tag, the opening tag first, then the closing tag. Don't forget, the only difference between the opening tag and the closing tag is that it has a forward slash right before the tag name. Then just like the HTML, we'll come back to the middle, press enter. So now all we want to write specifically for this page is the title. There are way other meta tags to use, but for this exercise specifically, we won't be using the title element in the head. So we'll go ahead and write the title. Then close it. We'll come back to the middle and write the title of our page, which will be about Google. Or let me change it to Google. So now that the title is out of the way, we'll be moving on to the body, which, like I said, is the visible page content, which means when you open your browser, this is what you'd see on your screen, right? So write the body tag the same way with the head tag, left angle bracket, tag label, and right angle brackets, then close it immediately. Go back to the middle and press enter. So now, what do we put in our body? We have to go back to the exercise and see what we are asked to put. So by observing this document now, you can see that there is clearly a large heading here. And in HTML, we have the elements for headings. but it's not just one, it's 6. We have H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, then H6. H1 being the largest and H6 being the smallest. So this looks very large, so we'll go with H1. So don't worry about using all the tags for now. We'll still look into them later in our next class. So you write the H1, which is the tag label or the tag name. Then you close it, come back to the middle and type about Google. Great. So now we have the heading. So what's next? We have 3 different paragraphs. So how do you write paragraphs? We use the P paragraph element, which is represented by the P tag. So left angle bracket P, then right angle bracket. As you can see, almost every single thing follows the same structure. They are all just tags that have opening tags, that have closing tags, and they have contents in between. So for the H1, this has the opening tag here, the closing tag here, the content in between here. Same thing for the body tags, so the opening tag here, closing tag here, and it has some content in between. So this is basically the structure of every HTML document, right? The elements are the building blocks, and the elements are made up of tags, opening tags, closing tags, standalone tags, and their content. So let's complete this paragraph. Let's close it first. Come back to the menu. So it says Google is best known for its search engine. Google is best known for its search engine. Although Google now offers a number of web services, Google now offers a number of web services. So, okay, I made a mistake. Let me make this capital letter. Okay. Services, so let's write full stop, come down in another paragraph. Google's mission is to organize the world's information. Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Accessible and useful. Then we have the last paragraph, which says its founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin. So let's its founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin started Google at Stanford University. Google at Stanford University. So that's basically all the paragraphs. So now that we've written everything and every tag is closed, everything looks correct, all we have to do is to save the document. So you click on the file, then save as, or you can simply press Ctrl+Shift+S. Then you pick where you want it to be saved. Let me just navigate to somewhere you can easily find it. Then you give it a name, so I'll call it About People. Then save. So once that is saved, we want to go ahead and open it in our browser and see what it looks like. So all I have to do is minimize this. Just open your Internet Explorer, navigate to where you saved it, and open it. Perfect. So now that it has opened, we can compare it with the exercise that we're doing. So you see I have the heading here, about Google, the heading here. And you can compare paragraphs. Everything looks exactly how it's supposed to be. So that is basically the example of what writing a HTML document looks like, the processes and steps involved. All we have to do is open our text editor, write some tags, write some elements, put in the desired content we want, then save it and open it in your browser. That's pretty much how it works. And also in the browser, you can easily check the code to see how everything is being understood by the browser. Click on view page source. You can see there's only content in the body that is being displayed in the page here, and the title is being displayed in the address bar up here. Then the tags are not being displayed. So that's basically how HTML works. The browser is what reads every HTML document, and it doesn't display the HTML tags. All it does is display the content which are in the body tag, which are in the body element. So that's basically the exercise done. As you can see, it's very easy to write HTML documents. I don't expect anyone has issue with it, but if you do have any issue with it, it's very easy. All you have to do is make sure you spelled out everything correctly, make sure every tag that you open is closed, and you will definitely end up finding where the mistake or the error is coming from. So with that done, our next engagement, we are going to go into looking at other tags, and also we'll consider what's called basic text formatting, which is how text is formatted in HTML, how white space is interpreted, different elements like the headings, the paragraphs, the line break, the pre-formatted text. Then after that, we'll do the second exercise which we have here. So I'm looking forward to doing that already with you guys. I hope that we all got something from today's class, which is basically how to write it, how to not just write the HTML document, but also to view it in your browser, all the steps involved in creating it, writing it, saving it, and opening it on your browser. And also we got to understand what the HTML document actually looks like, right? How the tags interact with one another, how the browser interprets every single thing. So yeah, that's basically it for today. See you guys on the next one.